Hello everyone, I'm Kusum Dikshit from CIA Global Venture LLP. In addition to our series of women empowerment, we have added one more gem, Miss Lipika Saxena. We have recognized her as the woman of substance. She is working with RBL Bank and she is a seasoned client focused management professional. She is working with RBL since 2011. She has worked with Bank of America and she has worked with ICICI Bank also. In her academics, she has done a graduation from Calcutta University and she is a postgraduate from IM Lucknow. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to our series, the series we are doing for empowering women. Thank you, ma'am, and welcome.
Hi, Kusum. Thank you for having me over. It's a pleasure.
Ma'am, as banking is the industry where women would like to join from ages, so we have been loaded with a lot of questions from our viewers, and they are interested to know this industry very closely through you, where you can just guide the young women who are coming out of their graduation or maybe post graduation. After that, they want to join in the banking industry. How's life there? How they can plan their career, and what all goals they can set in. So these kind of issues we can settle in. So we can start with our first question, which is a very general question: is how you find the situation of women since you started career.
I've been very fortunate in the last couple of decades that I've been working to have excellent colleagues and environments to work in. In all of my three organizations, I've got time, attention, space to grow, to do new things, and have been treated fairly. So I cannot say that things are radically different, at least in banking, or for that matter, largely in the BFSI space for women specifically in the last couple of decades. If anything, it's easier, and that's a function of sheer exposure that people today have. So as students, as people who grow, as professionals who grow, who learn more, everything around us, whether it's part of our regular curricula at schools or co-curricular activities or sheer exposure through media or social media, every individual today is far better equipped to handle life at a workplace better. It translates the same for any other woman. Opportunities, if any, these days are fairer, more even, more equal. Banking, even 40 years ago, which is when SBI MD Arundhati Bhattacharya had joined SBI, as she said, she was an accidental banking professional. But when she joined, she was told it's comfortable, it's easy, it's predictable hours. SBI helps you get accommodation, things are taken care of. So traditionally, it's been an area in which women have felt safe. Families have believed women have felt safe, and so it's been an easy entry. It's not very significantly different today. If anything, it's simpler because it's a relatively internal role, less on the field, but life is the same as any other workplace. You have to hold your own. That is the bottom line.
That's perfect, ma'am. The next question is what difference you notice for women in your area of expertise and opportunities available to them, particularly in India?
Opportunities are more, definitely more. Earlier there were two three kinds of roles that people typically thought about when they wanted to start working after their graduation or post graduation. Get into sales, get into retail, maybe a shop floor kind of job, but there were very few self starter roles. Today fundamentally opportunities are more. Look at the fintech space, look at what's happening over there. Once you have a thought, once you have an idea, and you can follow that through, funding is available, people are available. It takes much less financial capital than it would take, for example, to go ahead and set up a manufacturing plant, for instance. The rigor involved is different. This is still something that can happen from a desk to a certain extent versus trying to acquire land, machinery, get all of the hardware sorted out. So the sheer scale of opportunities is much much higher. Second reason why opportunities I believe are higher is education. When I think back in the last 40 years, when I've spoken to colleagues, mentors, people from the industry, women in post graduation were much fewer. Today it's more, which means beyond the traditional banking role, which is, let's say, on the retail side, where you enter in the branch and then you grow up through sheer capability. Uh, on the corporate side, entry typically happens with a postgraduate degree. usual CAs, CFAs, MBAs end up starting in the corporate banking side. And when that entry happens, the pool is much larger. So for as a hiring manager, we see more women applying. We see our ability to hire more women improve, and that is something that has been consistently happening. Women are literally creating the opportunity for themselves. If you're choosing to study, if you're choosing to apply, if you're available in the hiring pool, the opportunity is there.
Okay. Ma'am, then we talk about equality a lot, specifically in any area we talk. So, do you think banking is also one of those areas where equality is needed? And if it is needed, so and when it will come, so where is the change you see?
Thanks to PSU banks, thanks to banking being a friendly industry for women, unlike a lot of other sectors, there is a preponderance of women in senior positions in banking, especially in the last decade. Women who've been now working for 30 years, 40 years have risen to the top positions in their organizations in the sector and are today significant mentors to the industry. Whether it was ICICI with Lalita Gupte, Kalpana Murparia, all of these women leading up. Today, there's Vishakha Mulye heading the corporate side. Um, I just spoke about Ms. Anmati Bhattacharya, and these organizations, and there are many. I'm just taking a few names. I remember seniors whom I've interacted with during the course of my work at insurance companies, PSU and private, at mutual funds. If I start listing down women whom I've come across in positions of responsibility and seniority, it's not few. So what happens next? What does this mean? Is this more equal, less equal? Has it been less equal? Fortunately for banking, I don't think it's been unequal. But like any other workplace, it takes effort, it takes willingness, it takes a huge amount of mindset clearance and fairness to behave with colleagues, to behave with mentees, to behave with subordinates, and to behave with seniors. So there's a very simple thing: equality, diversity. These have become very popular buzzwords, jargon to throw around. But a few days back, a friend put it very succinctly, and she spoke about it in context of someone who said this to her at Visa. Diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. That to me is equality, that to me is fairness. It's not just paying lip service, that it's available. Yes, the position is open, but it's about evaluating the person fairly. It's about giving fair chances and equal opportunity to deliver, and then again keeping the fact that it's a male or a female aside and allowing both to perform, and then judging fairly. As long as you don't bring that into the equation, you're being equal. That's all.
So you are saying the opportunity is there, but if the women are capable enough, they can reach to any ladder in banking industry.
Absolutely. In any industry, it's banking has shown it's possible, and there are enough examples in other industries. Maybe fewer than banking. Indian banking is littered with women who've proven this.
So, what do you think? Is it hard or is it easy to actually go to those positions, or women in general don't even dream of those positions?
Women in general dream of everything that they want to do. I don't think women dream any different from men. It's they set themselves out with the same tasks. They set themselves out with the same goals for themselves as any men would do. Yes, like every other professional, they caliber their goals. They calibrate their goals. Sorry, according to the caliber at the time and according to their mental makeup at that time. There are life pressures that everybody has, but one shouldn't stop dreaming at all. Maybe some things will take a backseat. Maybe you will tone it down, you will modify it, but one should never stop dreaming. It's possible. It's been proven to be possible. Examples are one in many. If I start listing them down, that's all we'll be doing for the rest of the session.
So, if we talk about, as you have already told, that banking industry is a friendly industry for women specifically. So, how are you gonna handle the things like, as I think you are there as a mom, as a a wife, and other responsibilities are also you are taking care of. So how you actually segregate things? Is your career that important that you want to reach out to the maximum positions, or you want to balance it with your family? You are not that keen to go to the very high position where you actually are not able to give enough time to your family, and you have to give a lot of time to your work. So how, what's your way of dealing with the things?
In a long term view, nothing takes a backseat. But yes, on a day to day basis, there are moments and there are times when you're choosing. Um, there are times when family takes priority, there are times when work takes priority, and there are times when everything happens very, very seamlessly. Those days exist, yes, thanks to a lot of help around us. So you have family, you have spouses, you have parents who are supporting in, you have children who do their things on their own. The last 1 year has made everybody grow up, literally grow up, and everybody, not just children, mature in very, very different ways. So the balance happens. Does it mean I cut down my dreams or I tone down my dreams? As I said, I calibrate. There will be a year in which I know that, my child is very young, or maybe I'm a new mother and I need to maybe ease back a little, because I am going to be off work for 3 to 6 months. But does that mean that I'm going to give up on my dream of getting to, say, X or doing Y in my life? No, that's not something that we should do. That's not something I do.
All right. So, what about the choices you will make if you need to support your spouse also, and he's also very ambitious? Then, if you cannot focus too much on your career, means actually you have to support him, so you have to sacrifice something. So, how are you gonna handle that kind of a situation? Because this is a thing happening with many of the women. Maybe I don't know whether it is happening with you or not, but still.
In my case, I guess I've been fortunate to have a fair and supportive partner. He changed cities because I chose to change my job. So it's about balance. It's about figuring out who does what when. It's like any other team,
Mhm.
whether it's a spouse, whether it's your team at work, it's the same. Somebody does something and somebody or the other always steps up, and that's how the team delivers. That's how it is. It's two careers here, it's two professionals here. Both have aspirations, both have dreams, both have goals, and you strike a balance. It's someone sometimes, it's someone the other time. But I
So,
don't think either has to compromise all the time. That would be a recipe for disaster.
okay. So, as we talked about this personal front already, there are many girls who are going for marriages and thinking of partners and everything. So, what kind of a guidance you want to give them? Like how to choose the right family, the right partner? Because this is something no one talks about generally, because people talk a lot about work, ethics, and everything that is there. But I think everyone talks about this thing that you should have a supportive family. And what if we don't have that supportive family, we do not have that supportive spouse? So what is the way we are left with, and we want to excel in our career? So how to proceed with that?
I'll tell you what I have synthesized that down to, hearing other people. And I'm recalling Madhvi Puri Butch, who at that time was at ICICI and if I remember right, at an orientation training, talked about this. And she said, choose wise, because how you do and how your partner does. And this was a combined thing, it was not just to women. So it was the entire management training batch for that year. And she said, choose wisely. Um, as long as your values, as long as you agree on your values, the rest of the things should fall in place. You just have to define your boundaries and define what is it that is very important for you. Speak transparently. Don't cut down the communication. It honestly didn't make too much sense at that time. In hindsight and over the years, speaking to friends, speaking to colleagues, um, participating in similar conversations with peers and acquaintances, I will repeat the same thing. As long as you can agree on values, as long as you're transparent about what is it that you want, and so is your partner, you know what you're going ahead for, what your next few years are going to be like. And people will change. The environment around you will change, situations and circumstances will change. It is extremely important to keep adapting. If you get stuck to something that you agreed on in 2 decades ago, it doesn't hold good anymore. It's only going to be harmful. So as long as you keep adapting and evolving while keeping the core value set same, you will find the right person. Just remember, you when picking a partner, pick the partner for who he or she is, not who he or she you want them to become. That's not going to happen.
Okay. It's a very nice suggestion to everyone, whoever is looking for this kind of a suggestion, because this is a major part of our life. Let's go to our next question, which is what message you want to give to the aspiring women who want to make their career in banking and who are already there in banking and want to make it big to bigger positions?
Work hard, speak your mind, and work smart. Just working hard is never going to be enough. That's reality, and that's true for all professionals, not just for women. Work smart, optimize how you work, what you do. It's probably the biggest skill that we need is managing time. 24 hours never feel enough, and if you're someone who needs some sleep, then the 12 hours that you will get in a working day will never feel enough. So optimize that. The only thing I would suggest, and this is not just banking, is look out for each other, whether it's a woman looking out for a woman or in a professional looking out for another professional. As long as somebody emulate. So if you emulate someone who before you has done the right thing for you, has done something the right way for you, and you do that, you give it back to others around you, to juniors around you, to peers around you, it naturally sets off a good reaction. And that good chain reaction, that right chain reaction, that positive chain reaction is always going to come back to do good for you. So fundamentally, professionalism and smart working always helps. That's the only mantra for success.
Thank you for this. One last question we have for you is, please tell us one or two incidents where you felt that push that you are doing, that you're actually giving that push to your career. And those incidences were the, kind of circumstances because of those things you are here today.
Can't really call it a push, but yes, I have had two significant shifts in my career. Uh, Banking is a very siloed world in a way. You do something and that's what you do pretty much all your life. To switch between functions is something that is generally difficult. Hiring doesn't work like that. People have biases. So I have been fortunate to have people who have said that a she's done treasury so far, but she has the credit skills, or it's something that she's capable of picking up. So they let me switch to credit underwriting. And then when I wanted to move out of credit underwriting in the same organization, there were managers who were ready to give me, happy to let me come back to markets, saying it's okay, her relationships are not stale, it's not something she's done for 3 years, but she can pick up where she left off. The skill set is there. So again, I got a chance to make that shift. After about 8 years, 9 years of doing the all of this in the last 9.5 odd years at RBL Bank, it's been corporate banking. So again, I've been fortunate to be where people have said the core skill set is there. She doesn't have the corporate relationships, but can switch into corporate banking at RBL and can build a franchise while still learning, because during the first 2 years it was as much about personal learning on the job in terms of what the nuances of corporate banking are, building the client relationships as delivering for the organization. So these have been pivotal moments for me in my banking career, where I've been able to convince people that this can happen, I can do it, I can deliver, and people have put that faith in me, have believed that this is possible. So that is important, and that is what has worked for me.
So I would like to thank you for all your insights and such an inspirational talk. And actually, we were looking for some stories where the young women can relate with. So we have chosen few of from the industry. So you are one of them, and we are very thankful. We are grateful that you have given us your time and given this inspirational talk, and this will surely help women out there. So once again, we thank you and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kusum. Thank you to CI Global. Thanks to Alok. It's been an interesting afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Stay safe.